maybe I haven't thought enough about that, or maybe God just hasn't revealed that information. And so we say, I don't know. And what I found is that the person who asks the question usually sees that kind of response as a sincere, honest, and authentic.
Hey everybody, it's Abdu Murray, and I'm bringing you another installment of Coulda, Shoulda, Woulda, which is a series of short videos where we explore, as people who actually do apologetics and evangelism regularly, times when we coulda, shoulda, or woulda done something different in a personal engagement or an engagement from the platform. And the point is to encourage you, because oftentimes we get comments like, man, I wish you were there, or I wish Tim Barnett was there with me when I was having a conversation with this guy about this one thing, and you could have answered it perfectly. But the reality is, God put you in that person's path, and you are the right person at that time to be able to respond or to engage meaningfully with that person. So as we talk about things where we coulda, shoulda, or woulda done something differently, what I want to encourage you about is that we often will look at times we've had conversations and then rehash them in our mind so that the next time we have that conversation or the next time that issue comes up, we can do better. And if we have to go through that, then you do too. We're all in this together, and it doesn't take any kind of special qualification to be able to have meaningful conversations. So I'm here, joined for Coulda, Shoulda, Woulda by Tim Barnett, my good friend Tim. And we're here in Toronto, actually. I'm here for some speaking stuff, and Tim just got back from a wonderful conference called the Reality Conference.
That's right.
With young people who are hungry for answers and how to impact the world. And Tim does a great job teaching folks on how to do that. In fact, he runs a YouTube channel called Red Pen Logic. And you can get it, by the way, you follow it on Instagram as well, and he will post things. He'll actually respond to memes and tweets and Instagram posts and videos where he'll respond to them in short, sort of pithy ways that actually capture what is some of the logical flaws in some of the arguments against the Christian faith or against certain positions that are important for us to understand how to respond to them. So follow Red Pen Logic, look up Tim Barnett, wherever you can online. He's got great TikTok videos as well. So Tim, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. So help us out with a time or the kind of thing where you think back and you said, man, I coulda, shoulda, or woulda done something different in an evangelistic encounter or engaging someone on an apologetics question.
Okay, this is good. Well, when I started as an apologist, I thought that it was my job to be the Bible answer man. You know, 1 Peter says we'll always be ready to give an answer. And I thought I needed to know it all. In fact, if someone were to ask me a question and I didn't know an answer, I didn't provide an answer, then it was like I somehow lost the argument or I failed as an apologist. And so I found myself at times giving answers that just weren't very good answers. They weren't well thought through answers. I was just, I was asked the question, so I had to provide something. And I just found that I would leave those discussions feeling like I didn't do a good job. And I wasn't being honest enough or sincere enough in my response. And so I ended up changing my mindset a little bit. I found that there were times when I was asked a question like, the kinds of questions like, why did God? And anything after that usually is like, I don't know the mind of God. So maybe I should be responding with an I don't know. And so here's what I've learned. I've learned that in some cases, it's totally appropriate for the apologist, the person who's being asked the question, who's defending the faith, to say, you know what? I don't know. I don't know what the response is in this situation. And what I found, Abdu, is that kind of freed me up. There's times when we almost don't want to give a response because we think we always have to have a response. And just being able to say, you know what, that's a really good question. It's a really tough question. And frankly, maybe I haven't thought enough about that, or maybe God just hasn't revealed that information. And so we say, I don't know. And what I found is that the person who asks the question usually sees that kind of response as a sincere, honest, and authentic response. And they're usually willing to listen to other answers that we may have because we're willing to be honest about our answers.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I've been the perpetrator of that kind of thing myself, where I've thought, I think I have an idea about this, and then I portray it like it's the absolutely authoritative answer on a subject when I'm kind of unsure myself. I've done that in the past, and the whole I don't know thing, or you know what, you don't say this is like I don't know in full and then stop answering. You can say I don't know for sure. I've thought about this a little bit, or as you're talking, I'm thinking about it, and you don't have to end the conversation. You can keep it going. And just make sure you qualify that you don't know the end all be all, and you can be talked out of it if you're wrong about it, or you're willing to be wrong, but I'm also willing to be vulnerable and give you an answer that might be something as I'm sitting here thinking through these things, but always qualify it because we don't always know everything. I love the fact that you said it frees us up, because there's so many of us who are maybe nervous to talk to a friend, or even listen to a video by someone online and say, I don't know what I would say to that. It's okay, you don't have to know, but you can go find out. And sometimes the answer is just not there. We just don't know these things. I love the whole why did God or why would God? Some of the hardest questions I get, and the most common questions I get, are why would God questions. Now, I want to just digress for a moment onto this, because I think it's an important thing, is that there's two ways someone can ask a why would God question. The first way they can ask it is, why would God do this? And they're really struggling with it. They have an honest, sincere question, because why would God create people that he knows are going to sin, and then judge them for the sin he knows they were going to do in the first place? Doesn't that seem unjust? I'm having a hard time struggling with that. Or they could say, well, why would God do this? And they have said in their minds that there's no possible answer. In other words, I've given you a conundrum, I've given you a dilemma, you can't possibly answer. And so there's those two kinds of ways. Now you can say, I don't know to the first one, and you can say, I don't know to the second one, and you can say, but now I don't know the answer, because you're asking me to crawl into the mind of God. But if you're saying there can't be an answer, then you're actually asserting a certain level of certainty, where you're asserting almost a divine-like knowledge of something. And so you can turn it around and not play chess with them, but just say, it's an excellent question. And if none of us knows the answer, that doesn't mean there isn't one. It just means none of us is omniscient.
That's right.
But we can go to the things we do know. So I love the way you did that, and it also frees us up. That's a really important thing. You don't have to be paralyzed by, I have to have divine knowledge about something in order to engage with someone. Thanks so much for that, Tim.
Sure. Yeah, and there's probably one more element to this too. I think a lot of people look at a professional apologist, they look at Abdu, or they look at Mr. B online, and they just think, man, these guys have all the answers, okay? And I don't, Abdu, I get messages every day. People send me memes and TikTok videos and all those kinds of things. They end up in my inbox, and they're like, Mr. B, help me respond. And I'll just be honest with you, there are times when I see those graphics or I see those TikToks, and I'm thinking, what does Mr. B say to this, right? It's not that the answers are all right there. And sometimes I'm calling friends of mine. I may have to call Abdu and say, Abdu, what do you think of this? How do you respond? And so I just want you to understand that it's not like we know it. Apologists don't know it all. Oftentimes, we have to think through these really tough questions to formulate our answers.
And this is an important point, and I'll end with this. I want to just emphasize what you said. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. You don't have to be the point guard or the quarterback. Sometimes you might be, and other times you need the team. And we can all help each other and ask each other these questions. We're all in this together. It's about kingdom, not castles. It's about people, not just platitudes. And I think that's an important lesson. Well, Tim, this has been incredibly helpful. I'm sure a lot of folks will get a lot out of this. I know I already have. Thanks, brother, for being a part of this. Guys, follow Tim, Red Pen Logic, Mr. B. What's the other one with the title Mr. B in it?
Original_Mr. B.
Original_Mr. B. So you're going to be, you're going to laugh. You're going to find some really important truths behind it. So there's humor, there's seriousness, and there's serious engagement with some tough arguments that Tim does. So please make sure you tune into that. Thanks for being on Coulda, Shoulda, Woulda.
Thanks for having me.
All right.